Welcome back to Jenny's Crowns. I am Queen. Welcome. So today we're going to be drafting and cutting and sewing a wrap top. Okay, and this is the fabric I'll be using. It's a leftover from my previous project. So I'm going to be using this for the top, the wrap top. Okay, so I'm going to be drafting directly on this material. It's going to have a gigot, I believe that's what it's called, a gigot sleeve. So now this is for my back piece. I'm going to start with my back piece. Okay, so now since I have a very or little fabric to work with, I'm going to make sure I use it well. So now I have here the biggest size of my upper body, which is my bust, then added a few inches to it. So I'm going to cut the back on fold. Okay, we're going to start with the back, then with the back we'll cut the front. So this is on fold. Okay, so now I'm going to just put a line here for my starting line, which is also going to serve as my shoulder line. All right, so now my shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, which I'm marking down there. Then as usual, come down from your shoulder with 1 inch. Then the width of my neckline is 3 inches. Then the neck depth is 1 inch. So I'm going to connect it with a curve like this. Okay, now I'm going to connect this point to the shoulder. All right, so connect like this. Now divide your round bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inch to get your armhole or your chest line. So what I have is 7.5. I marked it here. So now connect this. Remember we measured this rather from the 1 inch we came down with, not from the shoulder line. Take note of that, please. So I'm going to extend this line here. Then I'm going to divide my armhole depth here. Before that, let me mark my bust line, which is my bust line, which is 10 inches for me. So I'm going to divide my bust measurement by 4, which I'm going to put on the chest line as well as on the bust line. All right, so now from here to my waist, or to the length of this top, is actually 19 inches. So it's 17, but I'm going to use 2 inches for hemming allowance. Okay, you can use 1.5. You just do whatever you want, whatever length you want. Go ahead and mark it there. Okay, so my waist measurement divided by 2 is what I'm going to put on this length of this top, because it's going to be a crop top. Hope you understand. So I'm going to mark there. What I have is 7.7 inch there. Then connect this, or 7 inches rather, then connect this. See the way I'm placing my curve? You can use your hand, your free hand, if you don't have a curve. So this is what I have. Okay, now there will be no dart for this, so I'm going to go ahead and add 1 inch for my stitching allowance. You can use 1.5 inches, 2 inches, or the case may be. So we'll go ahead and do this. So now let's work on our armhole. I'm going to divide what I have on my armhole depth by 2, then just connect it. There's no need to come in by 0.5 inch because this is the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this starting from this point. So mind you, since we're cutting directly on our fabric, when you're cutting this, please give some inches on the shoulder for your stitching or joining allowance. All right, so this is just what you want. I'm cutting this. Remember I said I have little fabric to work with, so I'm just making sure I use this fabric well. It's a leftover from my previous project, like I said earlier. So now this is what the back is. The back is always cut on fold for a wrap top, please. All right, there'll be no need for zipper on this particular top because it's a wrap top, meaning that the front will be open. Now for the front piece, this is my second piece for the fabric, so I'm going to put it, open it this way. All right, so now for this front piece, we're cutting it into two, like it's going to be two pieces. So now this is on fold. So now before you go ahead to cut your front piece for this wrap top, you have to be very careful. Okay, mind you, we're going to be joining the place we're going to tie to the top, or on the top, directly as we're cutting. So when you're doing this, you have to make sure you have enough fabric for this. So like now I have placed this top here. This is my back piece. So what I'm going to do here, you're going to see a little bit manipulation. It's not a regular top. So what I'm going to do first of all is to trace the sides of this back piece I have here. But we can see what I'm doing. It will be difficult for you to tell because of the material, but just watch the way my scissors is going. Okay, so go ahead and cut like this. So the difference here is going to be the neckline and also the attachments we're going to have. That is the rope side. Should I call it rope, or that part you will need to tie together to get your crop wrap top. Okay, so now I'm going to come down from this point of the back piece for the neckline. They remind you, the more lower you go, the lower or the more visible your bust joint is going to be. So I'm going to mark 6 here because I don't want it to be too open, right? This is a more comfortable depth you can go for the neckline for the front piece. So I'm going to connect it to this point of the shoulder, and this is what I have. So if you don't want this to be 6, you can use 5. If you want it to be deeper, you can use 7, 8, as the case may be, but this is more comfortable. So I'm going to pin this down so that it doesn't move. The fabric is a bit tricky, so you have to be careful. Now on this point I marked this, I'm going to connect or use a line to get this part. So now I want to be sure the length I have from this center piece down to the end of this fabric, because the more you have, the more material you have, the more length you will get for that part you will tie together. I hope you understand. So what I have here is, I think, about 22 or 24 inches. Yeah, it's more than 24, about 28 inches. Now this is the best, if you use this pattern, this is the best way to get a perfect wrap top. You don't need to attach any fabric like to tie, or you see you want to add rope to the cloth to be able to tie. You cut together. So now this is how you're going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to connect from this point all the way to the end. All right, so you're going to see, like I said, this fabric is a bit tricky. I kept struggling with it. All right, so now okay, so let me pin this. I've had enough with this fabric. Let me pin it down. Okay, so now from this point here, I'm going to extend this line down to where I want it to end. Now before you do this, make sure you don't mark this line downwards, like very low. Okay, because it's going to affect it. It's going to make your wrap top too open. So what you're going to do is you make sure it's a bit high, not low, please, because if you do that, you're going to come up with a very revealing top. So just see what I'm doing here. I'm not marking all the way down, like straight down. There's a slight curve here, so I'm going to mark this. There's no measurement for this, please, but just make sure that it's not just straight all the way down. So I'm going to carefully connect this to the length of this. You can see what is happening here. So before cutting, I'm going to make sure these two pieces are properly aligned to get the same length. Okay, so I'm going to cut following the line, not downwards like this. No, it's going to be too open, so I'm going to follow the line I have already. Then go ahead and cut. Okay, now unlike the back piece, we have 2 pieces for the front, and you already know why, because the opening is going to be in the front. So I'm going to follow this line that I have here. It's going to give me that form of V neck line when you finish tying your top together. So I'm just following this line. Okay, so now this is the front piece. Like I said before, we have 2 pieces for this part. So I have the back and the front together here. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that the waist region of these 2 pieces are together at the same length. Okay, so they have to be the same length when it comes to the length of the top, but we already know where we have the difference between the 2 pieces, the neckline and also the front part of the cloth. So this is my back piece, is on fold. Okay, and this is what my front piece or pieces look like. You can see this is the armhole for one part. You can see the length. So now this is the way you can get a perfect wrap top. This is the way it's going to look like. Then I'm going to go ahead and fold this the front piece, the sides of the front piece, after joining the shoulders. That is the back piece and the front piece shoulder together. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to stitch with 0.5 inch. I told you that this fabric is really annoying. Okay, I have to secure it with scissors. So what I'm saying here is I'm going to join the shoulders like our basic top with 0.5 inch for the on the shoulders. Then I will show you what I'm going to do next. So go ahead and align this, pin this. So I'm going to stitch by 0.5 inch and also do this same for this part. Let me pin it as well. So go ahead and stitch just the shoulders. All right. Okay, after stitching the shoulder, joining the shoulders together, this is what I have. So the next one we're going to do here is to go ahead and fold this part like this, the way you see me doing. We have to come out with a very nice work, so we have to have a nice end to this because it's going to be very open. Okay, so I'm going to fold this like this all the way to the neckline and all the way to the other end. So mind you, this is what we're doing. So I'm going to fold all the way to this point. Okay, so now you can see how it looks. I'm bringing it closer to you so you can see how it looks. Okay, you can see, very neat. So very neat. So this is what the inside looks like. Now it's time to join the sides. Remember from when I was cutting this, I gave 1 inch for this, so I'm going to give 1 inch stitching allowance for this. That's what I'm going to sew the sides with. So no matter what you see me doing here, just follow what you did. If you used 1 inch, use 1 inch for your stitching allowance. If you use half, if you use 1.5, use whatever. Just make sure that you get it. All right, so now this is the sleeve for this part. So I want to show you how to get that Gigot sleeve, if that is the right pronunciation. So this is my basic sleeve. So I'm going to do some alterations to this. Now from this point I'm going to come up by 7 inch. Now you may want to do 6 inches, 7 inches rather. You may want to do 6 inches, 5 inches, or even shorter than that, but just make sure you do what I'm doing here, depending on whatever length you want to go with. So I'm going to cut this like this and label this the band. This is the band for us, guys. Right, so now on this point I'm going to, what I have here is actually 5 inches, right? So I'm going to give 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. So totally this point is going to give me 5 pieces. So just see what I'm doing here, please. So I'm going to connect these And please don't, just know how to utilize what you have here very well. So that you have 1 inch on this lower part doesn't mean it has to be 1 inch up. Remember that armhole side is bigger than what we have down. So just make sure you arrange it well so you can get, if not a perfect or equal sizes of the lines we're drawing, but at least something that can work. So go ahead and label this. I have 5 pieces. This is because what I have on this lower part is 5. It might have more than that and come up with more than 5 pieces. Hope you understand. So I'm going to cut this not all the way through yet. So just go ahead and cut this. So you can choose to cut it all the way through, but I just do not want that. If you cut it all the way through, you will have a more, should I say, puffy kind of sleeve on the upper part, but I want it to be more on the lower part of this sleeve. You understand what I'm saying by the end of the video, or by the end of the video. Right, so this is what I have. I have 5 pieces. All right, so now it's time to place this on our fabric and cut. So I'm going to show you how you're going to place this and cut. Okay, so this is the fabric I'll be using for this. All right, I'm really trying to utilize my fabric. I have very little fabric to work with, but we're going to make it work, right? So I'm going to place the center parts just like your basic sleeve. The center part should be on fold, please. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to paint this section called 1 because that's how it is on my actual sleeve. Paint this down. Remember, this fabric is giving me so much headache, so you might be working with a fabric more difficult than this. Just make it work. All right, so for one piece you can choose to give the gap between this point maybe by 1 inch. That means you're not going to have too much puffiness going around on the lower part of the fabric. You can use 1 inch, but if you want to have that volume, use as much as 2 inches, unless you get something like that puffiness that you want. You can choose to use 1.5. You can choose to use 3 inches. Just know the more you give, the more inches you give between this paper or this pattern paper, is the more puffiness, or will I say more, you know what is happening around that area. Those more like a pleat like situation, permit to use that on that lower part of your sleeve, like what we have on the thumbnail. All right, so I'm going to secure this. So make sure that what you have in between this pattern paper equals the rest. Don't say, okay, the one labeled 1 will be 1 inch, then the one labeled 2 will be 2 inches. Don't know, make sure they're equal. So because I have more fabric here, I'm going to make some adjustment. I have more fabric at this open part of my piece, so I'm going to make some adjustment later on. And this is what I have. I've gone ahead to make adjustments on this, so it's gonna be more fluffy. Is it fluffy or puffy, whichever one, please? So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, giving some allowances and cut. So just watch what I'm doing here. So I'm giving some allowances at the top and also the sides and the lower part of this. Okay, please, when cutting this, you can give more allowance to the sides here if you want, but make sure that you follow the way it is on this fabric, or on the way you laid your pattern paper on your fabric. Okay, just make sure you follow it. Don't say, oh, it looks funny. Just mind, no, you're not trying to make the regular sleeve, so it's going to look funny at first until you're done making it. All right, so I'm going to take out all the pins to show you what we're doing next. So this is what I have. So if you have used wider space between the paper, you're going to have a bigger piece of fabric. So this is the band. Now at this time and this moment, I have very little fabric, more like pieces from the, but I have to make it work, right? So I'm going to place my pattern paper, the band part of the pattern paper on the fabric I have and cut it. Then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, after my manipulation of the leftover fabrics I have, this is what I have. So I have this and added allowances. I have two pieces. Now for each sleeve you should have two pieces. Like if I'm cutting this directly on a fold, it should be on a fold. All right, why I have 4 pieces here is because I have very little fabric. But if you have more fabric than I do, you're going to place your pattern paper like this on a fold like this, but it's going to be in 2 pieces. Hope that makes sense. And you're going to stitch them together. All right, so that you can have some sort of thicker texture at the band region. Is the band. Okay, so what I'm going to do here after joining this band, so this is what I have. So all you're going to do is just to pleat. There are another method you can use to pleat. Instead of just doing like this, you can either do gathers on your sleeve to get that folded part. Make sure it's the same measurement you have on that part of your band, so they can match and go well. All right, then I'll show you how it looks. So now this is what the front piece and the back piece look like after doing all the hemming, the joining of the sides. You can see how neat it looks. I went ahead to hem the lower part of this top all the way down. You can see how beautiful it looks. You can make this top and actually sell them and begin to earn. Okay, now this is what my sleeve looks like after joining the side. So the next thing I'm going to do here is just, you can see how it is. You can see the gathers effects on this part. So you can go ahead and join the sides. All right, then after doing that, you can go ahead and join it to your top. So I'm going to join the sleeves to this top. Then just your normal way of joining sleeves. But if you come to realize that what you have at the upper piece or the upper part of your sleeve is a bit bigger than your armhole, do some little pleats, very little. Okay, you're still in order, so just make sure you find a way to pleat a little like this. Pin, go ahead and pin. The sleeves to the armhole with 0.5 inch. Then I'm going to join the sides together and sew it. Okay, so this is what the top looks like after stitching, and the shoulders to the top. Now this is what the sleeves rather to the top. This is what it looks like. You can actually make many of these and actually sell them and earn. So if I don't tell you that I made this, you would think I went to the boutique to get it. So it's very easy to make, and also you can charge well for it and earn from it. All right, so thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload new videos. Thank you so much for watching. So until next time, bye.